What is up, everybody? My name is Andrew, and welcome back to Space Engineer Survival. This is episode number 35, and this is the episode where we're going to be taking off in the manta ray to go to space. Finally, it's here. We're going to be leaving behind this planet here, which is the Earth-like planet, and we're going to be going to find out what lies beyond. And one thing that lies beyond is, of course, this distressed HQ, which we're definitely going to check. But before we go to space, there are a couple of things that we need to do to prepare to do so. Sorry if I sound a little bit under the weather in this episode, by the way. I'm still getting over something that I had for the last week or so, and so yeah, it might come through in my voice, but hopefully this episode and beyond I should be better and good to record. So anyway, yeah, so this is episode number 35, and we have a couple things that we want to do before we take off. One of those things, actually a lot of those things, are making a couple modifications to the manta ray here. For one, I'd like to add some parachutes on this thing just in case. I have had a couple ships in the past crash into planets where parachutes would have saved them, so having some parachutes would be a good idea. Also, we need to make sure that we load all of our turrets, not just the big ones, but also the small ones as well. That's going to be very important. We're going to need to make sure that we load up on some blocks here, just in case we need to weld some stuff while we're out in space. And then one commenter had a really good suggestion as well, and that is that I bring the... where's the Weevil? That I bring the Weevil. I can modify the Weevil to actually work with ion thrusters instead of the atmospherics, and then I can bring them on board the manta ray as like a little mining ship, just in case I need to actually go out and mine stuff. It'll be easier mining with that than it will with the hand drill. So what I think I'm going to end up doing is converting this back area right here into some sort of like connection area, which will not be that hard because we'll be able to like expand this just a tad bit and maybe have like connections, you know, right there or something like that all around. I think that would not only add a little bit of armor to this jump drive here, but that would also give us a place to connect ships should we need them. Okay. By the way, off camera, I went and collected a little bit of magnesium and a little bit of iron using the armadillo here. I actually have a little bit of damage, I think, from when I went and collected those. Yeah, I don't know where that damage is, actually. Is it down there? Oh, shoot, I actually damaged one of our cargo containers. Okay, well, let's fix that up real quick before we take off. Yeah, so I collected a little bit of magnesium all the way over there at the magnesium silicon place and a little bit of iron as well because we were running a little bit low. And so I'll show you what's in our refinery right now. If we go over here and check out our refineries, they're all chugging along with iron here with magnesium as the second thing. And then in our ores container, this is what we have. A lot of magnesium, a lot of iron, just kind of waiting to be refined. And in fact, I think that's still pulling stuff actually from the armadillo. Because even though it was technically like a week ago when I did that, I pretty much did it and then logged off. So it's still pulling stuff from the armadillo, which is kind of funny. Do you still have damage? Wait, where? What are you damaged? There's a damaged battery right there. I don't think that's what's causing the damage smoke though. Oh shoot! Oh shoot! What happened here? This is what happens when I drive poorly. Yeah, there we go. A little block in there that we need to repair, but that should be good now. Is there any more damage? I don't know if there is. I hear something sizzling or staticking or whatever. Probably there's a bit of damage somewhere on this ship. Oh yeah, definitely right there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you have to drive carefully, not like me. Okay, are we good? I think we might be good. All right, let's do something really easy actually. We're gonna go ahead and convert the Weevil. Ooh, actually no, we're not gonna convert the Weevil just yet because once we convert the Weevil to, actually, you know what? Maybe we make a second Weevil. We make the Speevil. The Weevil that goes into space. Do we want to do that? Is that what we want to do? No. Okay, you know what we're going to do first? Actually, let's go in here, grab a couple blocks. Let's grab a couple interior plates as well so we have everything that we need to go ahead and build up what we're about to build up. So interior plates as well. Put those back in there, that's fine. And then let's go ahead and fly up to our manta ray up here and let's start building what's going to be this little tiny area that's going to allow us to connect some ships. Ooh, actually, you know what? It might be easier. I was thinking I was going to do something like that and then have basically something like this, right? So we'd have our little connections right there. We'd have one right there. You know, we'd have one kind of, not right there, but, you know, right there. And then one on the bottom as well, right there. And then remove this guy right there. And so that would essentially be our little connection area where we can connect a ship, etc. But I think what might actually make a little more sense and be easier, oh my gosh, is if I were to add those connections maybe right here, and right here, and maybe even right here, inventory, and possibly even right there, maybe just the three, so that we have basically 3 places for ships and we don't really mess up any of the other stuff. So that wouldn't be too difficult to do. The only difficulty would be, so this one would be really easy because I believe, let me go ahead and put back some of my stuff because I've got too many blocks on me. There we go, put back a bunch of that. And I want to see if I go in through here, what do I reach? Another light armor. So you go to the refinery. That's good, okay. So you would be actually pretty easy to connect. What about you? I don't know what you would reach to. In any effect, I think the hardest one would be this one to reach, because this one has that. This one right here can go down and through, but this one doesn't have anything. All it has right here is the corridor, which would be a little tough to. Oh, actually though, ooh, hang on. We could change how this corridor works. Okay, we're gonna change up how this block works. We're gonna change up how this block works right there, just so that we can do the same on this side and it won't end up looking funky. And then this will be able to connect in through there. So it's gonna be a little bit of an interesting connection, but we're gonna start by going up like this, and then we're gonna do a corner block going over this way like so. After that, we're gonna do a straight block going this way, and we'll face that up. I haven't played Space Engineers in so long, I've forgotten all the connections. So this, we won't do that one quite yet, but this is gonna become a curved block facing that way. Then we're gonna have a straight block facing this way, and then we're gonna have a down block facing that way. Perfect. Okay. Same on this side, essentially. We're going to end up doing the same sort of thing right there. Or no, we're not. No, we're not going to do that. So let's weld up some of these blocks. We'll right-click a couple of these guys, and we'll run through and get these welded up. So right-click all these guys and grab the blocks from down here, and let's get to it. Starting with this one right here and moving our way back right there. So the goal for this episode is to take off. Now, I don't know, we're most likely not gonna actually attack whatever is over there. We might check it out from a distance, find out what we're dealing with, but I don't think we're gonna actually go and assault that position if an assault is required. What we'll do is we'll probably take off to space and just kind of go and do a little bit of reconnaissance. And that's probably all we're gonna have time to do in this episode, because we are down here doing all this prep work before we go to space anyway. So we're gonna be doing a lot of prep work in this episode just before we do that. So right-click these guys right here, and let's get those built up. Who doesn't like prep work? Space Engineers is like 99% prep work, right? And then 1% getting your stuff destroyed because you bit off more than you could chew. Okay, so let's bring this up, turn this around, and let's get that built up. Right-click you. All right, perfect. Now let's get a curved block in here. Turn that forward like so. We'll get a straight block, put that right there. Yes, I think I'm okay with that. And then same right here, we're gonna get a straight block, and that is gonna be it for that. Okay, so let's build these up. There's our straight block, and there is our straight block, and we have a curved block back here. That is not quite built up. Okay, well, let's just get that stuff here real quick. Perfect. And there is all the groundwork that's been laid. Okay, so now what we can do is we can run through here and put in a couple of connectors. So we'll take our inset connectors, because we love our inset connectors, and we'll get a couple of, this one actually has some steel plates in it, I believe. Yep. We'll put it like this, where the top is facing up, just so that we can actually, you know, access it if we need to. Same with this one, we'll face the top outside like that for the same reason. And then for this one, we'll face it outside like that as well. And then, well, let's just right-click all three of these and build them up. There is number one. Here comes number two. Oh, it said all was withdrawn, but I guess it lied. I thought all was withdrawn, but it says can't withdraw some steel plates. That's okay. We'll get this second one built up, and we'll go back for a couple more steel plates here. Perfect. And let's get this top one welded up here as well. Okay, so this is gonna be a really nice addition to the ship, because I know that at some point we would have had to like struggle to find a way to get these things positioned. Now, the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove these, and we're gonna end up doing the same thing, where we're just gonna kind of bring some blocks out here, just to give this a little bit more armor. All right, I think I like this. I think this is good. So now we have that as like the back profile right there. Now, one person recommended that I do something like this, where I go in and add basically a window to the back right here, so that this has a little bit more protection on it. So if something shoots at this, it's not directly doing damage to this until it gets through something else. Now, this is on the back of the ship, so I'm not tremendously worried about it, but having a window here is definitely a good idea. So let's go ahead and try that. We're gonna put a window right there. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that we get a couple more blocks there, so we can slowly get all the blocks for this. Perfect. Now things can still connect to that, but there's a tiny little block right there that's going to be that window, so that this doesn't take immediate damage like that. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to grab my heavy armor stuff, and I'm going to put a couple heavy armor panels right here. I'm going to use our black paint for this, and let's go ahead and put them right there. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab all those. And then here we go. We'll get those built up. And what I'm gonna do actually for these, let me go into my paints real quick and let me grab the hazard armor. We're gonna go with an orange color. So give me like this, and then let's make it just like a nice orange. In fact, you know what? We already have an orange over here. Yeah, we're gonna grab this, basically the same orange. Okay, we're gonna use that on the back right here so that it's very obvious where the connections are for this guy. So if you're ever wondering, if you're flying around the ship and you're like, hey, I'm a cargo ship, where do I connect? Well, try right there. Okay, the other thing we're gonna do here is I wanna make sure I add a couple lights. How many lights do I have on this thing? Do I have any lights? I don't know if I do. Do I see any spotlights? I don't see any spotlights. So you know what? Let's add a couple lights. What are you saying about that? Ember, okay, Ember doesn't want us to go over there. That's totally okay. Let me go over to this and let's add a couple spotlights. This wasn't even on my list of things to do, but let's make sure we have those. So first and foremost, kind of a more obvious place to put a little spotlight is gonna be down here, right between those blocks. And that's gonna be just our main front spotlight, which is gonna be very helpful in seeing just anything that's directly in front of us. We're also gonna toss a spotlight on the sides here. So I'm thinking something like back here. Maybe up there, that would actually not be a bad spot. You know what? Let's do some right in front of the decoys, which may not be a good idea, but it's not a bad spot to put them, I think. So let's do that. So one right here, and then one on the other side in front of that decoy as well. And I think that'll be okay. And then I had wanted to put a couple of them up here as well. I don't know if I can find the location that would be good for that. One in there would be perfect, but we have already something there. Could stick one like right in there, but that's kind of a heavy armor block. Let's do it like this. Let's have it actually stick out like that. I think that'll look pretty cool. There you go. What do you think of that? Little lights right there. It doesn't really change the profile. I mean, it changes it a little bit, but those lights are just kind of like, they're at the same height as that thing right there, so it doesn't change it too much. Okay, I just noticed that I was able to collect things from here, but I was not able to collect them from there, which means we have a block somewhere in here that's not welded up. So I'll have to investigate that real quick before we run into issues with that. So those lights are set up at least. Let's look into this though. So you, how come you're a connection, but you're not? Let me look into this real quick. You're green, which means you're connected to that other side. But then when I go reinforced conveyor here, oh, that's why. Okay. Need to actually go into this one and face it the right way. So I had faced it out just so that we could access it from the outside like this, but I actually need that to be connected to the top right here since it's not connected to the back like the other ones are. Okay, no worries. Let's go ahead and get that one built up there. And perfect. Okay. All right, so we want to put a couple lights up here, and I think there's no better place to do it than probably, well, I can actually put them back here, can't I? That's not a bad spot. Okay, so let's see what lights we have to offer. I don't think I can use those. Let me check though real quick to see if they would fit there. Would you guys fit? Oh, you would fit there. Could do that then. What else do we have though? We do obviously have the corner lights, which aren't a bad idea. The inset lights actually could work. I think that might be what we want to do. Inset lights right there and an inset light right there as well would look pretty good. So let's go inset lights, grab a couple of those and toss them in right here. Perfect. Okay, so we have inset lights right there. And then obviously it'd be nice to have lights in other areas as well. So maybe like under the wing or something like that. So maybe I want to stick some other inset lights in some other places. We're gonna do a couple more inset lights, just one right here next to the cannon and the same thing on the other side so that once you get out of the ship, you actually have some light as well. One right there and one right there. We're gonna have to right click these because we did not bring enough for these. Where did I put the other one? Whoa. Hang on, I definitely placed something here, but I don't know where it went. That's okay. I guess there's a random block somewhere that got placed. We'll find it one day. Or we won't. Maybe the buzzes know where it is. All right, all of our lights are set. So we now have some light out here so that you can actually see out there. And then on the bottom, we have plenty of light as well. It's actually almost too much light right here when it's landed. But that's good. Okay, so we now have this configured the exact way that we want to have this configured, and that's very good. So one other thing that I wanted to do is add some parachutes in here, and that's gonna be really easy. We can just add one maybe right here, and then we can add maybe two, maybe right here and on the other side, or maybe even right here. Of course, having these things hooked up to a a conveyor system is going to be very helpful so that they can actually grab their own canvases. So let's go ahead and try and do that as well. Let's right click that guy and get that built up. We'll get a hatch as well in there. So there's the spot for one of them. And then these guys are a little trickier to get connected. We do have a conveyor down there. The only problem is I believe that might be connected directly to, which I think is going to be connected to one of these. The only problem is when I remove it, it's going to drop one of those, which is probably fine. We can re-add it. Yeah, you see what I mean? We're dropping bombs right there.
Inventory full.
That one came with a couple of interior plates as well. But what we can do is replace that with one of our just main conveyor junctions there. And that's going to allow us to put our parachute hatch in, as well as just put that back. All right, little hydrogen thrusters. Let's go with our industrials just to match what we have there. And let's move them into position. And of course, let's take on the same paint color there as well, so that they kind of match everything else. Gonna take a couple trips because these things are heavy, but 2 trips should be enough. And there we go. So there's one of our hydrogen thrusters back up and running. I need to put it in the same group. I'll turn it off there real quick, but let me remember to put that in the same group. And then let's get the second one in there as well. Number 9. Make sure we move it to the right orientation there. And then get the last little bit of this as well. And there we go. Perfect. All right, let's go make sure they're in the same group so that I don't forget, because that is something that I definitely would forget. Look at all these manta ray hydrogen thrusters, and then where are, there they are, just hiding over there, little industrial hydrogen thrusters. We'll go ahead and rename them with our renaming mod, and then let's go and grab manta ray hydrogen thrusters. And then let's go ahead and control click these guys, save that, and they should now work with everything else as well. Okay, what else do we need to do? Are we good? We can add our parachute hatches now, right? I think we should be able to. All right, parachute hatches, we should have enough for all of these. Oh, I was wondering why it looked like there was a fire there. No, it's because we have those orange lights. Okay, perfect. That's fine. So parachute hatches, they have one connection on the bottom. We just need to make sure that that's aligned. And let's put these in position as well. And I might give these an orange color. I don't know. I haven't fully decided yet. But there we go. Parachute hatch right there. Parachute hatch right here. And then we have one more parachute hatch. And these guys need a little bit of configuration as well, so that they don't basically explode without me wanting them to. And then we need to make sure that auto deploy is not on. And other than that, we'll be good. Okay. Yeah, I guess they don't actually require that much configuration. All right, as far as other blocks we want on this go, I think we want an AI defensive. That would not be a bad idea. So let's grab an AI defensive. That's going to allow our weapons to lock on a little bit farther away than usual. So let's make sure that we have that maybe aiming this way. I mean, we could always put it in the wall. It's actually not a bad idea. Let's do that. All right, there we go. That gives us an AI defensive. We'll add manta ray to the front of it right there, just so we know where it is. Perfect. Defend against enemies with subsystem. We're worried about weapons, so if it has weapons, we want to trigger that. And then I don't think we want to make sure it locks the target, but we don't care if it flees. We don't want it to flee away. All right, next up, we need to actually get the Weevil so that it's space ready. And I don't know, maybe we keep the Weevil. Well, we could bring the actual Weevil with us. Yeah, we should bring the Weevil with us, actually. Let's do that. I was thinking we could like build a second Weevil that we could bring instead of the original one, but it might be easier just to bring this one with us. The only problem that we're gonna have though with the Weevil is that it connects on the bottom right there. Well, actually we are gonna have some issues with the Weevil, aren't we? I think the main issue we're gonna have with the Weevil is putting on the ion thrusters. We're gonna have to find other spots for them because they're not as small. This is how big an ion thruster is, right? It's not as big, it's not as small as the little atmospheric dudes. So, you know, maybe it's actually a better idea to build a second Weevil. Inspired by the Weevil, but separate. So, to that effect, what I'm gonna do is, let's start with I'm just gonna do this the really simple way, okay? We're gonna start with a rotor. We're gonna place it this way. It's gonna be a small grid, okay? And then we're just gonna build it out right here, and we're gonna connect it to the little connector right there. All right, there we go. Now let's go inside here and make sure that our rotor displacement is in the negatives. Perfect. Let's build up this guy. Make sure we right click that and grab all the stuff that we can for it. Perfect, and now we should be able to connect this right here. So let's go ahead and switch lock right there. We can now remove all this stuff, and we're going to build the new ship right here. Oh, thanks, Buzz. We're gonna build the new ship right there. Basically, we just done it the really easy way. All right, so what do we want on this ship? We're not gonna make it a very big ship. It's gonna be very similar to the Weevil. What we want is gonna be a little bit of storage. We're gonna want ion thrusters. We're gonna want probably one O2H2 generator so that we can refill our stuff. And it's gonna be not a hydrogen ship, most likely. I think we're just gonna do an ion ship is the plan. So let's first start out with an O2. Let's start out with our connection, actually. So let's go with our connectors, which are right over here. And we want mediums. Oh, we could... It's not really a Weevil, though, if it's this big, is it? Okay, we're going to go with one single cargo container, just like that. Then we're going to go with a battery on one side, just like that. We're going to go with an O2H2 generator on the other side, just like this. I think I can even go with the lab one if I want to. Yep, the lab one will fit quite nicely. So we'll throw the lab one in right there. Boom. And then we want a cockpit. So what kind of cockpit does the Weevil have, by the way? The Weevil has the cab cockpit, so let's go ahead and try and use the cab cockpit so it's very similar. I don't like actually how the cab cockpit connects, so let's see if we can use maybe the flush cockpit. Nope, that doesn't connect very well either, although that would look really nice, I'm not gonna lie. Normal cockpit, none of these cockpits connect very nicely to this, huh? Industrial, the fighter probably does, yeah. You know what? This is gonna be inspired by the Weevil, but it's not gonna be the same ship as the Weevil. You are building up our battery. Okay, I was gonna move the battery, but it's okay. Maybe we don't need to move the battery. I removed the battery. So now you're probably wondering, how are we gonna do a cockpit? Where are we gonna put our cockpit? Well, guess what, everybody? We're going with the helm again. Do you guys remember those days where we had the helm as our thing? This was really early in the series, but we're doing the helm. Can I actually do it right here? That'd be nice. Well, anyway, yeah, it's gonna be the helm right there, basically. We're gonna build that up. All right, we have thrusters in every single direction. Now it's time to put in a couple of batteries for this thing, so let's make sure we have some. So ion thrusters do use a lot of battery power. Now we could stick, well, we have a lot of places for batteries, actually. We could put them back here. I think we only have one type of small battery, right? Yeah. So I'll put them like this. All right, and if we end up needing more batteries, then we'll of course be able to place them. Now, what we're gonna run into trouble with is these thruster components, because I don't know that we have any on base. Now, do we have, what are you? And why are you not built? Oh, that's where the inset light went. Ah, how did it get there, I wonder? I was trying to place it in there and somehow it ended up there. Very peculiar. Okay, but anyways, we want to go onto base and try and make some thruster components. And if we can't, then we're going to be in a little bit of trouble because those do require... we don't have any, right? No, we don't have any thruster components as of yet. Do we have any platinum? We do have a little bit of platinum. We do have 17 platinum. So if we wanted to make the number of thruster components we need, these probably each require one, if I had to guess. These each require one, yes. Okay, so if we wanted to make probably like 20 thruster components, how much would that take? Yeah, we could probably do that. Let's try and make 20 thruster components and see if that is doable. Now that's not gonna work right now because we don't have the iron, but let me go into my refinery and let me go into my ores as well and make sure that all these are trying to handle iron. There we go, they're all working and that should get us going again. Oh boy, all of our assembler co-ops have so much to do. Yeah, look at this, this is still working on that stuff. Let me make sure that this is at the lead. Looks like we're missing out on gold though for that. Yeah, we might be missing out on gold to be able to complete this, so we're probably gonna have to go on a quick gold run to actually get all the stuff that we need for this stuff. So I'm gonna let our assemblers continue to do what they're trying to do. The buzzes are probably gonna weld up everything they can here, so I'll let them do that as well. Gotta put some more batteries right there, that's not a bad idea. Where's our O2H2 generator? I had said we're gonna put one in here, I guess we didn't. Okay, let's change this up just a tiny bit then. All right, there we go. So we have a little O2H2 generator in there, which means it's a little bit tough to see if you're in here. You can't really see the drills very well, but we have O2H2, which means we're able to, you know, refill our stuff. Thank you, buzzes. Look, now they're all working. Now that they have less to do around the base, they're all finally like, oh yeah, we'll actually get this stuff done. I think they were just a little bit overwhelmed earlier. Before I forget as well, let me make sure to run around to these things and say, don't use in parking. Where's this? Yeah, the inset connectors. Use in parking, false. So that's what makes it so that if you press P, it will disconnect and connect these. I do not want that to happen for these. Because otherwise, if I press P, what's gonna end up happening is all of these are going to disconnect and my ships are gonna go flying. Okay, so what we need to do now is go and collect a little bit of gold because we would like to get some of this stuff actually working. So I had thought that we had brought a lot of gold home, but I guess we've used it at this point. Let me go into production and see what we've got in here. Yeah, a couple of this stuff. This requires silver. We're not gonna get that before we go here. What do I have in here actually? If I go into my inventory and look at superconductor, I have a lot of superconductors. That's too many superconductors. That's why we're out of gold. Okay, assembler lead. I would like you to... I don't think I can make you disassemble easily. I'll probably need an assembler just specifically for disassembling. Oh, you know what I could do actually? I could go to my assembler, this one right here, which is on the manta ray, and I can tell you to disassemble. And I would like you to disassemble like 300 of those. And you should, yeah. 500 of those, yeah. Let's let it work. That's going to allow us to hopefully get this production going so that when we look in here, we'll see these to start to build once we come up with enough gold. It's going to take a second, but we'll get there. While we're at it, let me make sure that this does not try and make 100,000. Let's just have like 200 there. And hopefully this will be able to handle this now. So if I go into these, I would like to see these things, not those either. I would like to see these moving. I think they are moving. Let's see, do we have any of these built? Where's our ship? Are any of these guys built? Yeah, okay, so we have this one built, that's good. And hopefully the rest of them will start to get built soon. Okay, perfect. All right, now, I think now that we have this being built, probably the next thing we wanna do is, let's make sure that all of our weapons are armed here. It's just still called random Gatling turrets. So let me actually name all these as well, so that we know which Gatling turret we're looking at and stuff like that. All right, how's our production queue doing? Assembler lead is still going. What I want to see is, yeah, these are fine. I'm fine working on gravity stuff. It's okay. But I want to see that our thruster components are done, and I think they might be, actually. Yeah, I don't see any more that are in need, so we should have these guys ready to be built up. So let me go ahead and right-click a couple of these guys. 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say. And let's try and build that up right here. Yeah, okay, so we're able to build this stuff up. Very good. All right, and what are we gonna call this? This is like, basically it's like a Weevil in space. It's very similar to the Weevil. It's got one more drill than the Weevil. It doesn't have a cockpit like the Weevil does, which is honestly, in hindsight, probably a dumb thing on my part, because a cockpit would allow us to breathe. Huh, wouldn't it? Okay, hang on, we're doing a tiny redesign, okay? A tiny, totally not massive redesign, real quick. All right, see what I mean? Small redesign, nothing too crazy. We just put this right there. We put a little cockpit right there so we can breathe. And we're gonna bring this down and connect it right there. And now, with that, all we have to do is throw on our drills, which are gonna fit very nicely right here. If we can grab some blocks, perfect. There's one of our drills, and here is the second drill. It makes it a tiny bit wider, but I think it's gonna be okay. I feel like that's, no, okay, they're even. I thought they looked a little bit uneven, but nope, this is fine. All right, perfect. So with that, what are we missing? The only thing we're missing is going to be, well, we can put more batteries up there if we really want to, but I think we're gonna be okay with that. Throwing these right, ah! That was crazy. I had the weirdest stream, but anyway, autosave is a heck of a thing, right? Let's go and move the, where are my thrusters? Let's go ahead and put these right there so that they have a nice little area right there. Perfect. And then same on the other side as well. And that means that if we wanted to, we could actually put like a full-size battery on here, which is probably not a bad idea, considering ion does take a lot of power. So let's go ahead and do that since we have that right there. So we no longer need any of those small batteries, but any of the ones that are built already, we're not gonna unbuild them. They're perfectly fine. So I think that's gonna be okay. We have a lot of room to put stuff if we want to. Lights, cameras, action, really whatever we want. So we might use that room. What I will do is I will set up an event controller so that I can connect and disconnect this really easily. So let me grab that stuff. So we'll do an event controller right there, and then we'll do timer blocks on each side flanking it. One right there and one right there. Let's go ahead and build all this stuff up. There we go. So we have an event controller and 2 timer blocks. Let's go ahead and get all that stuff configured. And currently as well, we're gonna call this the Weevil. It's called the Weevil because it's the space Weevil, basically. If you guys have a better name, let me know in the comments and we can rename it at the start of next episodes. Let me know. So we're gonna call this the Weevil, and let's go into our event controller. We're gonna call this Weevil. You know what I don't have on this thing is a gyro. So let's go ahead and stick a gyro on here before we forget, because we definitely were going to. gyro right there. It wouldn't have been a bad thing if we did forget. We'd probably get to space and then immediately get in there and realize, oh, hey, we can't actually turn. And it'd be totally fine because we just build one up. But yeah, okay, this is good. So Weevil, let's go ahead and here, let me add some lights real quick before I do anything. All right, with that, the Weevil is fully set up and ready to go. Oh man, it looks great. Okay, so it's ready to go to space. I could disconnect and reconnect it like really quickly. Let me full save just in case this doesn't work out. Okay, boop, boop. There we go, that worked. Okay, so now all the stuff is turned off, which is exactly what I wanted. The lights are turned off as well. Yes, they are, even though it's hard to see. But there we go, the Weevil is fully set up and we are ready to go. Perfect, all right. Let me know what you want, if you think we should rename this next episode or if you think we should recolor it as well. What else do we have to do? We don't have much to do. We need to make sure all the turrets are loaded. We need to make sure we blueprint this entire thing. We should probably blueprint that as well. And other than that, I think we'd pretty much be ready to take off. There's actually one more thing I want to do on the base, just so the base kind of survives while I'm gone. And that is going to be setting up automation basically, for these hydrogen engines. What we're going to end up doing essentially is using event controllers so that when the base's power falls below a certain level, these will all turn on, and when they go above a certain level, these will all turn off. So ideally, the entire base will be kept alive by these wind turbines or by the solar panels over there. But if that's not the case, if it needs a little bit of a boost, these will turn on and it'll be good. So what we're gonna do is real quick, let's, I guess, build up these blocks in here. We can put these right here. 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and build those up. I thought we had a connection up there. Oh, it's up here, perfect. Okay. And let's get these put in. Shouldn't need any timer blocks, just event controllers. All right, there's one and there's two. You know what, I'm gonna stick them on top of each other because I think they look pretty good that way. So this right here is going to be event controller, ice, power low. And then this is going to be event controller, power high. And you know what, just for my own sanity, I think I am gonna use a timer block for each of these. So we'll go 1, 2, get those built up. Just so that it's easier, you know, if we ever wanna add like a light to go with this or just a warning system or something like that, this will correspond to that and etc. So this is going to be timer power high and that's gonna be timer power low. All right, so event controller, what are we gonna do? So if the stored power percentage goes below, if it's equal or less than, basically, we're gonna look at 10%, and we wanna make sure that we're looking at these 3 base batteries, and we want that to be an AND gate, so that if all of them are below a certain level, not just one of them, we're going to call our power low timer. Start that. Perfect. And we're not going to do anything if that's false, by the way. We don't want it to go above a certain level and then we're going to call a different timer. What we would rather have is a different event controller here controlling when these will turn off. Otherwise, basically they'll turn on for half a second, power will go above 20%, they'll turn off, power will go below 20%, they'll turn on, and it'll just go back and forth. So we're gonna have this one right here be the power high one. That's gonna determine when these are allowed to turn off. So if our stored power is going to be equal or greater than, we'll say 60%, and we're looking at these base batteries, and we are using an AND gate, we'd like to call our power high timer, and we'll trigger that now. Okay, so those should work as written right there. All we need to do is set up what we want to do on these timers. So currently we're not really doing much. If the power is high, I want to go to my groups, find my engine, and I want to turn off my hydrogen engines, basically. And then if the power is low, we're gonna turn on those hydrogen engines and that's it. Okay, very good. So they're not gonna do anything right now. Let's check what our power is at just so we can be sure. So let's go to our inventory, or not inventory, but battery. Yeah, so all of our base batteries are at 100%, which means let's go ahead and turn this off. Whew, man, I can actually think now, perfect. So if the power goes below basically that level, these will automatically turn on, and then once it gets above a certain level, they'll turn off again. And I can tweak this as I want it. So I can change, you know, the threshold that they're going to be working at. The base should now be self-sufficient. If it gets below a certain amount of power, for instance, if the sun's gone down and we can't generate any solar power, these will turn on. And then once the sun comes back up and the base batteries are filled, these will turn off. So we'll be good. All right, with that done, let's go around and close some of these doors here so that the base is nice and safe. Make sure that these guys are closed and no one can get in. Of course, people can still get in if they want to, because we have a couple of different entrances down there, over there, elevator shaft, literally this entire floor. So it's not perfect, but I'd like to close those since we do have them. It'd be nice to actually use them. Now, let's make sure that our manta ray has ammo in all of its turrets. So going into these are the ones that were empty. Yeah, manta ray interior turret. Let's actually go into inventory and search for manta turret. And let's check what we have. So our assault cannon turrets do have ammo. We want to make sure we take a little bit of ammo in the storage with us as well. Our interior turrets don't have ammo. Gatling turrets do have ammo. Yeah, the interior turrets are the ones that are going to need a run of ammo. So let me go on the main area and grab a bunch of ammo for that. I'm going to put everything back, and I'll fill out this tank as well while we're here, as we notice it's a little bit low. So these guys use this ammo basically. So let me grab all of that ammo and run through and make sure that we fill up our interior turrets. So all these guys, we're gonna give you, I don't know, 50. Honestly, 50 is probably too much. Let's give you all 30 so that we don't run out, because otherwise we're gonna run out before we get all these. Okay, so we'll run through real quick. You guys don't have to see this. You can power of editing this. So let me run around giving each of these 30 ammo. All right, I figure I'll bring you guys back in here real quick because I just have a couple more to go. These are the interior turrets. And we just need to, oh no, I think that's all of them. So I'm gonna throw the rest of the ammo inside here. And in fact, I'll separate it there. So I'll do 150 as a separate group right there, just so we can fill up some other stuff. And let's go ahead and check the other ammo as well. So hop in here real quick, go into here. We're gonna go into our inventory and do manta turret and make sure that these all, so our Gatling turrets, some of them are actually a little bit low on ammo, it appears. Let's just check everything on the ship actually, you know what? So in our cargo, we do have a bunch of railgun sabos, which are gonna serve us very well. We have extra ammo for those machine guns there. We have extra ammo for, oh, actually it looks like our parachute hatches have gone and grabbed some canvases, even though I haven't built them. I was definitely gonna forget to add canvases, which was gonna be very funny. Multiple railgun sabos in there. Yeah, so it looks like our base does need to add a couple of ammos. We have so much Gatling ammo, so how come one of our turrets is not pulling Gatling ammo? What's going on with that? Over on this side, you are not good. So what's going on here? What's the dealio with this? Are you broken? You're broken, that's why. Okay, right click. Let's get those fixed up so we can actually have ammo on these things. All right, you've got ammo now. So let's go back in here. Let's go onto our ship. We'll look for turret. And let's make sure that all of these have ammo still. Okay, all of our turrets have ammo. We know our railguns have ammo. So every turret is now armed up. But I do need to make sure that I grab a bunch of turret ammo as well so that I can bring it with us, because that's gonna be very important to have. So let's go back here. Where were we storing our, we'll store our turret ammo in here, why not? Actually, we'll store it in here. This is where we're putting our ammo, it looks like. So things like assault cannon shells, we're gonna wanna make sure we grab another like 100, and things like ammo right here, we'll grab another 300, and I think that should be okay. In fact, heck, let's grab another 150 right here, and let's grab another 20 right here, why not? Large railgun sabos, we literally do not need them on the base, so let's bring all of them. We'll bring all of our jetpack nullifiers, personnel inhibitor nullifiers. We have a bunch of small railgun sabos. I don't know if we're gonna need them, but let's bring them. Why not? Same with autocannon magazines. We might end up using them for something, so let's bring 300 of them. Why not? And then let's bring our med kits as well. Okay, so we have ammo in there. Perfect. Let's start bringing some components as well, because we are going to want them. So let's go ahead and bring probably 5,000 steel plates. We'll bring a bunch of these right here. This is our Ember record, which we're gonna look at. Oh no, this is not what we want. We want this distress beacon, which we're gonna look at as well. We're gonna bring that with us just in case we need it. Let's go ahead and bring like 1,000 of, okay, those are very heavy. We're not gonna bring 1,000 of them. I think let's bring 20 artillery shells as well, just in case we need them. Okay, we've used up all of our storage right there just by adding this stuff. I'd like to get a couple more things as well though. So we have a couple metal grids. Some power cells would be really good, so let's bring 100. That should be enough. Let's bring 120, which will be enough for our battery. Don't think we can carry, well, let's maybe do another 120. Should be enough for another battery. Or is a battery only 8? A battery might be 80 actually. I might have miscounted that. All right, we've basically rinsed our base of materials. We've brought a couple, one singular thruster component. We'll bring maybe 2,000 engines. Okay, as many engines as we can carry. I think after that though, we're probably good. I think we've pretty much got everything that we're going to want. The main thing we're going to need is the steel plates, but we of course do have the refinery and the assembler in case we need it. So I think we're going to be good there. Let's go into this thing, tell it to stop disassembling stuff because we don't need it to disassemble stuff anymore. And I think weapons are armed. Hydrogen is full. That's good. I think at this point we're pretty much ready to take off. The sun is starting to set, so we're going to be taking off with a little bit of darkness on our base here. But let's do one last look. Let's say goodbye to the buzzes. They're gonna have the base all to themselves. They're probably gonna end up throwing a party, but that's totally fine. They've got all these ships that they can throw a party with, so that's okay. What else do we need on the base? I think we're perfectly good. The base has plenty of hydrogen. Very nice, very good. Plenty of oxygen. These things will continue to work. Honestly, the assemblers will probably try to work continuously, which is going to be okay. Actually, now that we're not working with production level of stuff, let's run in here real quick to our assembler. And I'm going to bump everything down to basically like idle level stuff. All right, all of our assembler stuff is now set to kind of like the idle stuff, like because we're no longer going to be at this base working. So I wanted to produce a couple things, but not nearly as many as it did before. So I think we're going to be good with that. But anyway, everybody say goodbye to this base for now, and we will, of course, visit it again at some point, but I don't know when that's going to be. So say goodbye to it for now. Everything is welded. One of you guys, by the way, pointed out that there was an unwelded block down here. I did find it when I was doing the off-camera mining for the magnesium, and I did weld it, but it was right here. So good job, guys. After we welded every block, you were able to find one unwelded block. I don't think there's any more unwelded blocks, though, after that one. I think that might have been the only one. But anyway, yeah, let's get inside the ship and let's lift off. I think we're good. Where are the buzzes? There's the buzzes. Buzz, take care of this base, man. This is all you. Stairs, you can remove the stairs if you want to. If they're giving you trouble, feel free to redesign the base as you want. Zub, it was a pleasure working with you as well. And you will, of course, be missed. All the buzzes will be missed, but that one, unfortunately, we won't be seeing again. But anyway, everybody, it's time to take off in the manta ray and head to the stars. So let's hop aboard. We'll use the main entrance, actually, I think is a good idea. This one right here. Let's hop aboard, close the door behind us. Go, let's go upstairs. Close this door behind us as well, sealing us inside. We'll make sure to, this is not a door, but we'll make sure to close the doors on the sides as well. There we are. Hardly an airtight door, but it does the job. And let's run over here, close this door as well, and we are now ready to lift off. Hopefully this thing's pressurized. We'll see. There's no way to test it here on the planet, but when we're in space, we might have to do a little bit of tweaking. All right. While we're here, actually, before we lift off, let me put everything in here. We really don't have any space in there, so let me just put it in here. A little bit of space credits in there. Hopefully we don't forget about them. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna grab an oxygen bottle as well, which I believe we have in here. Just one oxygen bottle, because we probably are going to need it. I'll also grab a weapon, just in case we end up needing that as well. In fact, I might grab one from back here instead, if we have one. Where do we put all of our weapons? Just making a couple MR50A rifles, because we have a lot of ammo for those. So I figured it'd be a good idea to make a couple more of these guys. We don't need a crazy number, but just a couple more here would help out. So I'm gonna grab one of those. I'm gonna grab a little bit of ammo as well. 20 should be good. Let's make sure we have it on our hotbar. And we're just gonna have this just in case, you know, just in case things go hairy, we'll have this on us. All right, everybody, are you ready? We're inside the manta ray. Hardly a very good view from the inside of this, but I mean, you see a planet. You see like a little Mars moon over there as well, or a very far away Mars, I'm not sure. All right, let's go ahead and get ready to take off. We're launching in 3, 2, 1. Forgot the button there. There we go. All right, and we have liftoff. The manta ray is able to very easily take off, even with all the stuff that we loaded on it, and with the ship behind us. So before we actually, you know what? We lifted off, but I do need to actually blueprint this. So let's hop out real quick. Or you know what? We'll blueprint it in space. Actually, it'll be fine. All right, everybody, let's aim ourselves to the stars and let's get going. All right, I'm actually gonna go up aiming this way a little bit. I'm gonna use space and forward as we go up. We wanna watch our speed and make sure we don't go too fast. It shouldn't take too long to get out of this atmosphere. But everybody, say goodbye to our base right there. You see the nice blue lights from the wind turbines. You see the white light right there from the main base, and of course the light on the side right there from the weapon areas. Look at that. Oh, that's a beautiful ship. A little screenshot. It's pretty screenshot worthy. And in fact, just from this view, you can see how much we were kind of like in a valley, right? That mountain right there was really dwarfing us the entire series. That thing was huge. All right, we should be good now to go into first person here, aim ourselves up, and just go straight. We're gonna make sure that our speed doesn't start going down, and we'll make sure our altitude right there in the center of the screen keeps going up, and we should be good. All right, we're now going perfectly straight here. Goodbye, base, and hello, exploration. Oh, we got a moon right over there. I wonder what lies over there. It'd be interesting to check out. Look at this beautiful ship here. And this ship right there is probably like, I was not ready for this. Although that ship right there, the little, the Weevil, is gonna be very happy to get to space. We can finally, uh-oh, hang on. Put on our helmet. Okay, very clearly we are not pressurized. Good to know. We're gonna have to do a little bit of tweaking of the manta ray to make sure that it stays pressurized. Look at this beautiful ship right here. Oh man. Look at the Earth as well from up here. Oh my gosh, those mountains are high. I don't remember if this is a 2 times Earth. This might be a 2 times the size Earth. I don't remember how it was built. But it's gotta be with mountains that high, right? Like those mountains reach into the upper atmosphere. That is insane. All right, P gravity at 0.46. We're really getting there. We're gonna have to, once we get there, we're gonna have to go to that distressed HQ to see what that's about. It's kind of above us right now. We have another Earth over there. This is like an Earth, and then there's a second Earth over there. There are 2 Earths. So it's like sister Earth. It's weird. All right, let's keep going. Can we still see our base from here? Well, we know where it is, but it's not visible. It's that green marker right there. But yeah, it's not, you can't tell. And you can actually see how far away that magnesium was from our base. What you can see is the mountain that the magnesium was next to over there. That's pretty cool. All right, distressed HQ. Let's actually start heading toward that because we're pretty much out of the P gravity now. So we can start heading toward stuff, basically. 18,000, 19,000 meters above the sea level here. Let's make sure that we're at a reasonable speed here and we're not going too fast. One thing that I've done in the past is I've taken off and I've gone way too fast and had like a long time to stop the ship. Currently we've got our upward and our frontward thrusters fighting to slow us down, but they're doing a pretty good job. So let's start heading over to this thing. Once we get out of the P gravity, which shouldn't be too far now, we will actually be able to use our jump drive if we want to, but I don't think we're going to want to. I think we're going to be perfectly fine flying normally. Let's get some speed going. Oh, we're going way too fast. Holy. I did not think I was going that fast. I went up to 500 meters per second. Let's let our ship slow down a little bit. Otherwise, we're going to fly right past that distressed HQ. Oh, we got to be careful as well because we're now in space, which means we're going to have asteroids that we could potentially run into. Looks like there are a couple up there. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to aim forward like this, and that's going to allow our front thrusters to slow us down. See what I mean? Every time I go to space, I end up going way too fast. So let's come to a stop so that we kind of know what we're dealing with and we don't run into an asteroid. That would be very awkward. All right, 40 meters per second. There we go. Checking on our hydrogen as well. Looks like we're doing pretty well. Start going a little bit. Just a few more seconds, we'll be out of the P gravity. It's at 0.05. But any second now, it's going to turn into to 0.00, and we will have no P gravity. There we go. We are in space now, everybody. Welcome to the cold expanse of space. Nothing around us but asteroids and the planet that we came from, which is down there. Where's our home? Home's all the way over there now. Wow. Look at the distance we've come in this manta ray. Luckily, though, we have everything we need to survive. We've got plenty of hydrogen, enough to get us to any ice asteroid should we need more ice. In fact, I bet you there would be some ice on any of these asteroids. For now, though, we're perfectly fine. We have plenty of O2H2 generators. We've got lots of oxygen tanks as well. And in fact, while we're here, let me see what's going on with our pressurization. Because if we look right here, we have no oxygen right now in our pressurized zone. So what is going on with this? Now, since we have build vision, what we can actually do here is we can go on to leak finder, and that's going to tell us where this leak is very easily. So this leak is actually happening behind these hydrogen tanks here. So it looks like these hydrogen tanks do not support a seal. So if we want to maintain our seal, what we could do is we could remove these turrets. It's probably not a bad idea, honestly. And we'll do the same thing on the other side as well here. Make sure we recover that ammo. The only problem we're gonna have is that I don't know that this is then sealable. But we can try it. Okay, so what we're gonna end up doing here, we'll go with a light armor panel. Throw these right there. And let's see if that is pressurizable. It's gonna be coming out the other side, which is probably, I should have expected that one. So there we go. Let's go ahead and build these up right here. And let's see if now we have the pressurization. So it's now coming out over here. Yeah, that was the problem that I was thinking, is that this is probably not sealable very easily. So what I can do here is open this up. Since we're not pressurized anyway, I can check where this is coming out. Where exactly is it coming out, actually? Well, okay, obviously the door. But I want to see, is it coming out through there? All right, well, in that case, this is actually not a very big repair. All we need to do is make sure that this is not a pressurizable thing, which is going to be easy. We just need to remove these guys, and we have these here that we can put these in. So give me a few seconds. I'll get this fixed up real quick, and then we'll be good to go. All right, with our hydrogen engines built up again here, the last thing we're going to need to do is make sure that these are named and part of the group. Otherwise, they're going to end up getting left behind. So let's go in here. Let's go into our control panel. We're going to grab our hydrogen thrusters. We're going to take the name of this guy right here, which is the Manta Ray Hydrogen Thruster. And we're going to grab all these new ones here that we just placed. And we're going to go into our naming tool, replace the name, and make sure they're part of the group right there. So let's go ahead and save that. Perfect. All right, we've got our thrusters built up again, and we should no longer have a leak. The only problem is that this is gonna vent our air, but the venting of the air does tell us that this is successfully pressurized, and we no longer need these, but why not just have them now that the vulnerability is fixed. But anyway, there we go. Let's hop in here, grab a little bit of power, and we should be good to go. Make sure our character weapon is on here just in case, and let's keep going. So, actually what I wanted to do is blueprint these, so let me hop out of here real quick. I'm gonna use this one because this one doesn't vent all of our air. It does vent it into here a little bit, but then in here, it doesn't vent all of our air, which is nice. Okay. Actually, this does vent all of our air because these are not pressurized. So if we want to fix that, place this right there. All right, with that added like that, all we need to do is fill up this gap right here, which is as easy as doing a block like this. Just one block like that, and if I wanted to replicate it on the other side as well, just for the sake of it being even, I could put a block right there. We have to be careful. We're in space, and Reavers are a lot more frequent in space, so we do have to be a little bit worried about them potentially coming up and attacking us. But now, if we go into here, we should have pressurization. So let's hop into here real quick. And for that to close, we'll open this, let this pressurize itself. And once we close this, it should remain pressurized. It is. It's gonna vent a little bit of air out of there, but it's really not that much because it's only the amount that was in that little bit right there. All right. Okay, so now that we have this here, let's go ahead and disconnect this guy, and it should be able to fly on its own. There we go. We're able to fly. Perfect. All right, the Weevil is able to fly on its own, which is very good. We could add a couple lights to it, but we're just gonna call this the Weevil Mark 1 and be done with it. Unless we wanna add maybe like a light on the back or something right here. The Weevil could actually do with a second gyro, so I'm gonna go ahead and place one of those on the front right here while we're out here. There's an Ember ship flying by. I'm not gonna attack it, but just know that we could, Ember ship. Better be careful. All right, Weevil now is able to turn a little bit faster. And if we end up running a little bit low on thrust power, we can always add a couple more as well. We've got plenty of space on the top, on the bottom, etc., where we could add some of those. All right, Weevil, let's make sure you have your info right there. Very good. And let's go ahead and blueprint the Weevil. Here we go. Control B for the blueprint. Weevil Mark 1 is now in the thing right there. And then same with this over here. Let's make sure that this is set up right here. We have the Manta Ray Mark 1. I'm gonna make sure that we don't actually have that already set up. Nope, we do not have a Manta Ray Mark 1. So let's go ahead and blueprint this guy as well. There we go. The Manta Ray Mark 1 is now blueprinted. And I'm gonna take another screenshot right here. There we go, beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and put the Weevil back on here. Make sure that we do that, otherwise we're going to lose the Weevil. Ah, man, we're in space. Space is very nice because really you don't need a lot of considerations when building a mining ship in space. Like this guy could handle probably its entire inventory load because there's no gravity in space, right? In real life there is, but in Space Engineers there is not. There we go. Let's go ahead and connect that right there. Weevil is locked and loaded, and all right, guys, let's start heading toward the distressed HQ. Well, it worries me a little bit that we're gonna go into the path of that thing, but you know, you do what you gotta do, right? Captain on deck, that is me. Okay, let's head inside this thing. You're not coming toward me, are you? Where's our camera? Ooh, that is quite large. I do not want to attack that right now. It's kind of coming to fly by me, which I'm okay with, I think, unless it starts attacking me. If it starts attacking me, we're gonna have problems. But for now, it's not attacking me, and so we're good. I'm actually gonna go up a little bit so that I can not get shot by it. Better not try and mess with me processing ship Mark 11. We are the Manta Ray Mark 1. We don't want to fight something that's Mark 11. That means it's had 11 chances to improve its design, right? We definitely don't want to mess with that. Okay, we're gonna fly past these asteroids right here. Yep, looks like it's just headed over there, maybe towards the planet or something. We're gonna fly right by these asteroids. Very good place to refuel if we needed to, but we're honestly doing pretty well with 72% hydrogen. So let's keep flying over here toward the base over here. We're gonna turn off a couple of our thrusters going forward, and we're going to just launch our way over here. Let's keep flying. While we're going as well, I did want to come over here and check out what we have in here, in one of these. This one? Yeah, we have our distress beacon. So this is the beacon that we captured from the distress signal that we had on the Earth-like planet in episode like 3 or something. So let's go ahead and right-click this and reread this rather. Okay, distress beacon. So this is what we're going toward. It says, requesting immediate backup. Our trade HQ has been overrun by hostile militant forces. They came out of nowhere and overwhelmed our security personnel in a matter of minutes. We don't know who they are, but they're extremely well armed. To all responding forces, approach with caution, which we're definitely not doing. We're not even looking at where we're going right now. The base's automated security system has been compromised, but if you can make it to the server room, you might be able to shut down the system. The access code is 3002. So let's keep that in mind. I was able to get out before the base was completely taken, but this ship has sustained very heavy damage. I'm going to attempt an emergency landing, but just in case I don't make it, I've configured this message to broadcast on loop until it is answered. All right. Okay. Well, we answered the broadcast and we did obtain the signal, which we're now headed toward. So hopefully we can see what's going on over there. But it did mention that we need to approach with caution. The base's security system has been compromised, which means we're definitely expecting a fight. And we need to watch out for potentially militant, personnel, potentially militant ships, and definitely a militant security system, turrets and whatnot. So let's keep heading over there. It's crazy to imagine that guy made it all the way back to the Earth-like planet there. He was able to fly all the way back over there before he unfortunately crashed. Oh, not over there. That is like a Pertam sort of thing. All the way over there before he crashed. So now we're just headed to where he came from, this distressed HQ. All right, we're chugging along, still chugging along. We're about 58 kilometers out and we're still going. We're passing an Ember explosive shipment Mark 1 right now. Good Lord, that's not another Earth, right? That's the same one. We have an Earth. There's not like a third Earth somewhere. Third Earth, that reminds me of Pendragon, I guess. All right, we're still heading toward this distressed HQ. Oh, wait, hang on, we saw something for a second there. Distressed HQ. Okay, we saw something and then it disappeared. We're 50 kilometers out, so we're probably about halfway there. We started out about 100 kilometers away, so we're gonna keep on going. Oh, here we go. We have two mixed signals. We have the distressed HQ and ARM snowstorm antenna main. Wait, snowstorm? Is that the AMG Sandstorm? If they captured the AMG Sandstorm at the start of the series, is this where they took it? It says ARM Snowstorm, which means it's not mine. We do have the distressed HQ thing right there, which is blue, but I think that might be a glitch here. If I go to GPS and turn off distressed HQ there. Yeah, it looks like what it's doing is it's grouping some signals, and then this is actually ignoring the color that we had for the distressed HQ. So I guess we can turn this off now that we see the ARM Snowstorm antenna main. Wait, so it said we were going to a trade station, but this just shows that it's the ARM Snowstorm. Let's start slowing down as we get closer to it. So what we might actually have here then, if I'm understanding this correctly, is the AMG Snowstorm after it was captured, because you guys remember at the start of the series, we crash landed because essentially we took off in order to go to that planet down there, but the AMG Snowstorm which we arrived in was stolen. It was taken by some hostile dude, and we have never seen it since, so presumably this is where the AMG Snowstorm ended up if it says armed snowstorm. Now we haven't actually seen the snowstorm ourselves, so it's possible that we're just being pranked here. So until we actually see the snowstorm, I'm gonna temper my expectations. But if this is where the snowstorm ended up, then we could actually be getting the snowstorm back for the second time. The history of the snowstorm's a little bit wild. Way back when we first built it, it was the AMG Sandstorm. We built it on Pertam. We took off. It ended up crash landing on Europa, and that's when we had to actually go and conquer it for the first time. We took it back, turned it into the AMG Snowstorm and took off again, but it got stolen at the start of this series. So if we're about to get it again, that's gonna be very interesting. Although, then we'll have 2 large ships if that's the case. Even so, the AMG Snowstorm's a heck of a ship, so I don't think they're gonna be giving it up without a fight. Especially since it says armed snowstorm antenna main. But anyway, let's keep going. I figure we can probably get within at least 5 kilometers without anything bad happening to us. So let's get a little bit closer and see what happens. I'll turn off these front thrusters and let us coast in a little bit there as well. All we see is the armed snowstorm antenna main. So we have no idea what we're heading into other than it's at least the AMG Snowstorm sized battle, which already that's pretty big. Yeah, that's really weird, right? When you put that distressed HQ on there, it actually turns blue. But then when you remove it, it's no longer blue. Oh, there we go. We actually see something. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Slow your roll. Let's angle this way so we slow down a lot faster because we have a lot of thrusters on the bottom there that can help us slow down. All right, here we are. We can actually see something from here. So let's go ahead and get inside our camera and have a look. Wait, that is the AMG Snowstorm. That right there is the blue of the AMG Snowstorm. Because when we painted this thing, I told you that we had painted the AMG Snowstorm very similar. We painted one color on top and one color on the bottom. Well, the AMG Snowstorm has a very light color on the top and a very dark color on the bottom. So this looks like the bottom of the AMG Snowstorm. But if I know the AMG Snowstorm, it's only this thing. And the AMG Snowstorm by itself is massive. So there's something massive attached to the AMG Snowstorm. Let's get a little bit closer and see what we're dealing with here. I want to get within probably 8 kilometers and see if that gives us a nice view. Let's get ourselves a nice speed here and get a little bit closer. But that's crazy. What worries me though is that it's red, okay? Because it's red, that means that most likely whoever took it over has access to all of the weapons, which means we have to be ready to fight the weapons that are on the AMG Snowstorm. What that means is a big armada of weapons toward the top, some custom weapons on the side. Actually, they might just be Gatling turrets now. And some weapons toward the back. There's a lot of weapons on the AMG Snowstorm. We have to be a little bit cautious here. Can't actually tell what that is. Whatever this is pretty big. It's like the size of maybe like 3 AMG Snowstorms put together. All right, we're about 8 away. Oh, hang on, hang on. Okay, hang on. It looks like there was some voxel that was not loading. This is not just a structure. This is an asteroid. The AMG Snowstorm is docked at an asteroid. And whatever is inside the asteroid goes all the way to the edge of the asteroid right there. So let's move around to the side to try and get a better look at what we're looking at here. See if we can get a view from the left here. I think that might be a better view instead of what we see, which is kind of like a cross section of whatever this is. So let's move around so we can look at the AMG Snowstorm head on, as if we were looking like directly at it. Let's move in this way. I see some sparks in there, which is interesting. But we're getting a little bit close. Let's be a little careful. No weapon in Space Engineers vanilla can fire this far, but if we get much closer, we'll be in a little bit of danger. All right, we're still kind of orbiting around here to get a better view of the AMG Snowstorm. We're starting to get a little view of the side there, and it looks like it's docked to something right there that is just on this asteroid. We're about 5.7 out. We're using a lot of hydrogen actually for this maneuver, so I don't know that this is maybe a good idea, considering how much hydrogen we're actually using. Okay, this is not a bad view. You can clearly see the AMG snowstorm there. We can see what looks like, I don't know what, that looks like a road or something. I don't know what that is, but it's definitely docked to something that's on this asteroid, so I'm guessing this is the trade base that they were talking about. They said that there was some trade base that was under attack by some hostiles, so whoever attacked the trade base either used the AMG snowstorm to attack it, or they attacked it a long time ago and took the AMG snowstorm to it. I don't know what happened, but we need to find out what happened here. And that's gonna be a task for next episode, because this episode is just about over. I think what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna end up staging a little bit out here. Maybe we'll refill our ice because we're a little bit low here. So we might go visit an asteroid that's nearby. And then next episode, we're gonna assault this base over here. We're gonna assault, I guess, the AMG snowstorm, which is our own ship. We'll end up attacking our own ship. Can you believe that? We're gonna end up taking this thing back. That's our goal for next episode. I don't know how much of a fight we have ahead of us, but considering they took out an entire trade base, according to our distress beacon call, it's gonna be a bit of a fight. But we've got these railguns here. We've got the manta ray ready to help out. Everything is ready to fight. What is that? That's not a buzz. Don't tell me that a buzz. Hang on. Don't tell me a buzz followed us on our mission. No way. I'm going out this way so we don't depressurize our entire ship here. Is that a buzz? Wait, what are you? Wait, you're a space pirate. Why are you friendly? Okay, I thought that was a buzz. This is a pirate. And for some reason, the space pirates are friendly to us. You know what? I bet you what happened is if we go into here and go into our GPS, not our GPS, our factions. If we go to battle bots, what the heck is that? I don't know what that is. Okay, hang on. Give me 1 second. Let me just do the thing real quick. Okay, thank you. Gosh. Okay, if we go into here, yeah, the space pirates are friendly, probably because the space pirates are at war with the Reavers, so every time we attack the Reavers, the space pirates like us a little bit more. That should not be how it is. Between episodes, I'll change that so they're enemies with us again. It seems like every now and then we do have to change this, otherwise they do become friendly with us as we kill Reavers. But anyway, thank you, Space Pirate, for coming to meet us. I thought you were a buzz, and I was about to say that that's wild, but no, I think the buzzes have stayed on the planet, which is good. Good job, buzzes. Don't come out here. It's very dangerous out here. But anyways, yeah, guys, next episode, we're going to have a heck of an episode as we try and take out that ARM Snowstorm Antenna main. That's going to be a wild one. Hopefully I'm not as sick next episode, so I sound normal. That one should come out on Friday, and I should be recording it a little bit later in this week. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you thought of this episode. We did a lot in this episode, getting ready to take off and taking off. And finally, we are upon us where we can take out this base or this story element, whatever it is. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed that episode, please go ahead and hit the like button. Put your comments, your suggestions down below in the comments section. If you are not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button if you'd like to receive notifications for when videos are live and stuff like that. If you'd like to join the YouTube as a member or become a patron, there are links below in the description where you'll get access to early access to videos. You'll get your name in the end credits here, and you might even get a shout out at the end of the video. So the people we're going to shout out in this video of the higher tiers are Colin Graves, Stellaris Ignis, and Tyler Hedstrom. Thank you very much for your support, and thanks to everyone who's watching these for your support as well. What are you? I don't know what this is. Oh, this might be another space pirate thing. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Space Engineers Survival.